In this video, we're going to be taking a look on pages Access 54 and 55, in which we're going to be using the Form Wizard. After watching this video, you should be able to create a form with the Form Wizard, sort data in a form, and describe form terminology and views. A form is an easy-to-use data entry and navigation screen. A form allows you to arrange the fields of a record in any layout so a database user can quickly and easily find, enter, edit, and analyze data. The database designer is the person responsible for building and maintaining tables, queries, forms, and reports for all of the database users. Now, the first thing that you want to do on page Access 54 is, on step 1, you want to download and open up the Quest Travel C database. Now, you can use many methods, of course, to create a new form. And the one that we're going to be starting out with is using the Form Wizard, which is a fast and popular tool that helps you to get started. The Form Wizard prompts you for information it needs to create a form, such as the fields, layout, and title for the form. Now, once you have your Quest Travel C file open, you want to click on the Enable Content to remove the security warning. And then next, we move on to step 2. And on step 2, we want to click on the Create tab. Once we click on the Create tab on the ribbon, we then want to go to the Forms group and we want to click on the Form Wizard. And once we do that, the Form Wizard starts. And this will prompt you to select the fields for this form. Now, you want to create a form to enter and update data in the Tours table. So in step 3, we take a look, and it tells us that we want to click the Tables, Queries list arrow. And once we do that, we then want to go and click on Tables Tours. After that, we want to click on the Select All Fields button, which is our double arrow here. And of course, when we click on that, we now notice that all the fields move from the available fields to the selected fields that is on there. Now, you could now select fields from other tables if it's necessary, but in this case, we have all the fields that we need. Now, of course, once again, this form is going to allow us quick access to, and it's going to be a whole lot easier for our database users to input in this information into our database tables. Step 4 tells us that once we have these fields in there, we want to click on the Next button. After that, it tells us that we want to make sure that the columnar option button, which is our top option here, is selected. Once that is selected, we're going to click on Next. And then, of course, it wants us to type in Tours Entry Form as the title of the form that's on there. So right now it says Tours, so we can just hit space and just put in Entry Form. You want to give that a description of what the form is so that people know that whenever they see the form in the navigation pane over here, they know what they're going to be inputting in. Once we have that in our title, we're going to go ahead and click on Finish, in which that is going to open the form to view or enter the information. Now, of course, later on, you may want to go straight in and modify the form's design. But in this case, we do want to go ahead and open the form to view or enter the information. So we click on the Finish button, and we now notice that the Tours Entry Form opens up, and this opens up in what we call the Form View. And of course, this allows us to find, sort, enter, and edit the data. Now, Access provides 3 different views for us for forms. And which, if you take a look on page Access 55 on table C1, you can see a summary of those different forms. And of course, this one, as we said, is the Form View. Now, each item on the form is what we call a control. So we see that we have different controls here. We have our tour number, and of course, this one is what we call a label, and then of course we have our entry control that's on here as well. Now, this is what we call our label controls. And label controls are used to describe the data shown in the other controls, such as text boxes. So on this entry control, this is a text box that's on here. And of course, that's where we're going to be inputting our text in on there. Now, a label is also used for the title of the form as well. So here we have a label up here as well. The tour's entry form is a label as well. Now a text box, which we see over here, and we actually have several of these text boxes here, is used to display the data as well as to enter, edit, find, sort, and also filter the data. Now down here as well, we notice that there is a down pointing arrow, and this down pointing arrow actually indicates that this is what we have, and this is what we call a combo box, and which is actually a combination of two different types of controls. First of all, it's a text box, so you can click and you can type into it. But it's also a list box as well. So I could start typing into this, or I can click on this down pointing arrow, and there is a list there available for me to choose from as well. Now the category data is displayed in a combo box control. You click the arrow button on a combo box to display the list of values. And of course these are values that have already been input in and have already been created for us. Or, if you wanted to, you can edit data directly in the combo box itself just by typing into it. Now, step 5 tells us that we want to go through and we want to click Breeze Bay Shelling in the tour name text box. So here's our tour name label, and here's the text box. So we want to click inside this text box here. Once we have that, it tells us now that we want to click on the ascending button in the sort and filter group. And of course here is our sort and filter group, and here is the ascending button. When we click on this, we have now sorted the filter. We've sorted this into alphabetical order, going in the ascending from A to Z. Next, what we're going to do is that we're going to go down here to our record selectors down here, and we're going to go to the next record button, and this is in the navigation bar down here. And we're going to move to the second record, which is the AIM Ski Club. That's where that is there. And that is the second record when the records are sorted in the ascending order on the tour name data. Now, information about the current record number and total number of records appears in the navigation bar just as it does in the data sheet. So it's very similar. You know, the information has not been changed from what it is in this tour's data sheet, which is over here. It's the identical data. There's 47 records in this form, but there's also 47 records. If we would open up this tours table, we notice that over here there's 47 records in this tour table as well. And so it's not any different data, it's just a different way of inputting in the data. If we take a look at step 6, it now tells us that we want to click the previous record button. So we're going to go back to record number 1 of 47, and that moves us back to the first record. And now we're going to click the tour name text box again. Once we have that, and it tells us that it's the American Heritage Tour, we're going to change this to the Washington, D.C. History Tour. So we can leave the word tour there, and we're just going to delete this out, the American Heritage, and we're going to change this to Washington, D.C. History Tour. Now your screen should look like this. Now forms displayed in Form View are the primary tool for database users to enter, edit, and delete data in an Access database. Very similar to a form that you might fill out on a website or something similar to that. It's easy because then, unlike a table, which is very similar to an Excel spreadsheet, can get a little bit confusing. But when you use forms, it's a little bit easier for the end user to actually go through there and say, okay, well, there's a tour number. Of course, with the tour number, that's an automatically numbered that's on there. I can't really change that. But all the other information that's there, I know that, well, there's where my tour name's supposed to be. My tour start date's here. The duration's here. So all that information is there and available for me, and I know where things are supposed to go in those areas. Once we have that completed, we can go to step 7, which tells us that we want to right-click the Tours Entry Form tab. So we go right here and we right-click the Tours Entry Form tab, and then we're going to click on the Close button. Now, of course, when a form is closed, once again, Access is going to automatically save any edits made to the current record. And that concludes the information that's on pages Access 54 and 55, in which we have used the form wizard. In our next video, we're going to be able to create a split form.